Action figure deconstruction. What is up? Welcome to another episode of Action Figure Deconstruction. I am Josh45, the Master of Disaster, and with me as always is the Master Collector CBS. What is up, my friend?
Not a lot.
Today we have a sweet 80s classic remake by Zica Toys, Sectaurs Warriors of Symbion. We have Dargon, heroic Sector of the Shining Realm.
It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. But if anybody remember these figures from the 1980s, this is in a different scale, but we'll get into that while we're deconstructing. So, shall we get to it?
I don't see why not.
All right, here we go. So one thing I'm not a huge fan of in this line, as much as it looks cool, it does have the vintage blister pack, which if you're going to open the package, you're going to destroy the package just a little bit. So, as we go, it obviously causes some damage for the true collectors who don't like to open their packages. A lot of the newer independent toy lines come with a package that is reclosable, I guess. Open and closable without causing any damage. There's no glue involved. It comes loaded with a ton of accessories. 2 small bags in the back of the package. So this figure comes loaded with a ton of accessories. It comes with a really cool shield. Has a strap on the back that is removable. It's kind of a pain in the butt to take off and get back on. Comes with this blaster rifle. A sword. 2 blaster pistols. And it also comes with 4 sets of interchangeable hands, and plus the ones that are on his body already, so 5 sets of hands altogether.
Okay.
It pops right out of the package pretty easily. So the head and neck are on the ball joint, so it turns in all directions. So the upper arm, shoulder, is in a ball joint, but also has a joint to move it out and up and down. But it also has the joint to bend. The elbow joint connects in the upper arm, giving it the 360-degree turn. The hand can also move up and down. And then you have the wrist that does the same thing. It spins. A lot of 1/18th scale figures have a joint in the chest section. This one's on the right where his hips connect on his actual waist. But it works on the same premise. And if you want to take his belt off, that's the only way to do it. The hip is on a ball joint. His knee is the double joint. And then his ankle, you must be really careful. It actually comes with instructions on the back of the package. But it moves up and down as well, and side to side. The ankle seems to be one of the most fragilest joints on most figures. There's also magnets on the bottom of his feet. I'm sure that might have something to do with the later on animal accessories that they might be possibly making to be able to help connect it. But as of right now, it just kind of does a... So Dargon, the heroic Sectaur of the Shining Realm. Sectaurs was a action figure line in the 1980s. There's a lot of words in this, but from what I remember and what I know and what I've read, it was it was a line put out by Coleco, which, if you remember, like the predecessor to Nintendo, ColecoVision.
Yep. Video game system.
They put out a bunch of figures, including Cabbage Patch dolls and a few other things in the 1980s. Sectaurs was one of them, and that's probably why a lot of these figures originally came with the weird hand puppets.
Well, they had like bugs that were a glove. So you would put on the glove, and the glove was the legs like the bug thing. So the bug thing was the top of your hand, and you became the legs to run it around and make it fly or whatever you were doing with it, which is kind of ingenious, actually. And then the guys would ride on top of the bug. And I'm pretty sure they had magnets in their feet back then, too, mostly to hold them onto your hand when you were doing things because you were the bug.
Yeah, I looked for that. I couldn't find anything. But
it's crazy. I mean, I remember them as a kid, but that's the only part I remember because the guys, very little memory of them. But the bugs.
I had one, and it was like Captain Madrix or something like that. He was like the other bad guy. It was kind of like Hordak from Masters of the Universe.
Right.
He was like, didn't like Skeletor, but he also didn't like He-Man, so he was just like the other bad guy.
I mean...
And he was purple and green. But today we have Dargon. He's the leader of the good guys. And I think from what I could tell when I was going through all the old figures, all the good guys have blue eyes and all the bad guys have red eyes.
I mean, makes sense. G.I. Joe Blaster color-wise.
So they did, when this new company, which from what I can tell, Zica Toys, they've done quite a few other action figure lines. Well, they did Adventure People, like Captain Action, the Captain Action line. Do you remember that at all?
No.
I think it's more of a 70s toy figure line. But anyway, then they've done a 1/18 scale of them as well. And so Sectaurs is another license that they've gotten. And
I'd say like classic 80s action figures. Yeah, I mean,
I vaguely remember the Kickstarter to this coming up, and then all of a sudden they were just up for order on toy sites. So I went ahead and ordered one because I really liked them as a kid. I never got a chance to get a lot of them. Like I said, I think I only had one, maybe two.
I don't know how widely distributed they were, and they were a different size than like G.I. Joe's, and they didn't have a cartoon.
They did have a cartoon,
Did they?
actually. Yeah.
I'll be damned. I didn't know they had a cartoon.
Yeah. Like most 80s licenses, they did. But I think that there was very few in the second wave of action, like second wave of the line put out. He came with a glow-in-the-dark version of him, I think. That
In the original figures?
Yeah, he had a bug that hooked on his back that could help him see in the dark, and he was like one of the only ones that came out in the second wave.
You know what's weird? When you said that, I do remember seeing the cartoon.
It all
I
starts
remember the cartoon where that happened.
Yeah.
Man, that's messed up.
See, it just all starts coming back once you start talking about it.
Oh,
So
that's crazy.
what the cool thing that I do like, because the originals were more of the... It was
they were bigger.
It was like that 5.5 inch kind of 1980s.
Like classic He-Man styles. Almost. They weren't the same width.
They were they were skinnier and a little bit little bit taller, but
Man.
they made a 1/18 scale now, which is really cool. And this figure has a ton of points of articulation. It's, you can do a lot of customizing with it probably, because like the multiple sets of hands, the head and
He's got 5 sets of hands.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Which is, he's got the sword, the shield, 2 blasters, and a gun. So all sorts of different kinds of action accessories. But, with other lines, like the hands are compatible with a lot of the other current lines.
Everything has the same kind of plug, which I'd say that's fairly normal plug on him.
The head and the legs are very similar, but the thing that is different from a lot of the other lines is the waist.
Oh yeah,
it's
the
only
ball joint waist.
It's just one on the actual waist instead of like the rib section.
Yeah,
which no big deal. The other thing that I don't like, I kind of got used to and spoiled with like Boss Fight and a couple of those other lines, like the Sparrow Toys guys, the Animal Kingdom guys. The package slides out so you can put it back together.
Yeah.
This one is that vintage blister pack that you got to tear off the glue. I mean,
right.
It looks really cool. It really does. It has that vintage cool feel, but again, if you want to open it, it's gonna destroy the package to an extent.
Doesn't necessarily make me happy, but yeah.
So, on top of that, I think the figure's really rad.
I mean, he looks really cool. Yeah, crazy bug guy. It's freaking awesome.
I remember being kind of grossed out by him, like
because the hand thing, but your fingers were its legs.
Yeah, but like just the cloth and the weirdness. It was
kind of weird.
It was kind of gross. But
awesome.
They also came with like another like bug accessory too. A lot of them did too that were smaller, like an actually plastic later on. So I don't know if that was like a different ones had different things, but I remember both. And so,
yeah, I don't remember the accessories, but again, the only part I ever really actually have memories of is the hand puppet. And I don't know if that's because it was interchangeable with things, because you could use it with whatever series of figures you were using, because it was like a crazy bug monster. It didn't matter who you're playing with. You had a crazy bug monster. But I don't necessarily remember the accessory from the back in the day. I'm sure you can Google it. Google it, people. Google it.
Sectaurs. So, I mean, this is going to run you about between $22 and $24.99. Just kind of depends which site you get it off of.
Right.
But that's pretty par for the course of these independent lines putting out 1/18 scale figures.
It's fairly normal, yeah.
It lines up real well with your Acid Rain, your boss fight, your Marauder toy, your
size-wise,
Marauder gun runners.
For sure.
It lines up and fits in real well.
Yeah.
The paint job, like the paint is really well done. I like the detail and all the accessories as well. The sword has really good, really fine details. So they've taken a lot of care in the detail, unless it wasn't just rushed. So
sure. Well, even the shield's it's highly detailed for a shield. The fact that it has 2 attachments in the back, so you can use different hands to hold it, is kind of cool. It is a pain to put together.
Yeah,
but it's only a little pain.
Small pain. But the other thing about this figure that we've come across multiple times is there's no foot, there's no stand.
Oh, right, yeah. And other than the crazy magnets, he doesn't come with a foot stand. So if you want to sit on your refrigerator,
you can do that.
Might add some glue to the magnet inside of his foot.
Because one magnet popped out of the hole, the other one didn't.
Right.
But just put a little drop of super glue and put it back in there.
I'm sure it's not intentional. It's probably just that one didn't get enough. But I mean, if you're wanting to live on your refrigerator, that's, good luck with that, I guess.
So anyway, there you have it. Sectaurs, Warriors of Symbion DARGON, the heroic Sectar. He was like the prince or the king or something. He was the main good guy.
Right.
This also comes, actually, before we go any further, there's 6 figures in this wave. You have Dargon, General Spidrax, who's the bad guy, Mantor, Zack, who are both good guys, a Skull Soldier, and then a Imperial or Royal Guard. So there's actually 4 good guys and 2 bad guys in this wave.
Yep. 6 figures total.
And from what I saw, I'm not sure, I think depending on how well this sells, they will do a second wave. Like the guy that I had, the Captain Mantax or Madrax or something. He's supposed to be in the next wave, which I'm down for, just because I had it as a kid. It'd be cool to have a updated version of it. That's always nice. But
so you're on Instagram at?
I'm at Windle24. It's WINDLE24. We are also at Action Figure Deconstruction on all social media platforms.
True.
You were at
Top 5 Comics CBS for art, drawing stuff.
Arts and stuffs.
Yep. And if you go to the top5comicspodcast.com, you can find links to all of our shows, including our buddy's show, Scovillionaires. It's Hot Sauce Reviews, and Ant-Man 2050 gameplay walkthroughs.
Also, the Never Been Done podcast, which is our movie and film podcast, and then Top 5 Comics podcast itself, which is
comic books,
the
interviews.
OG. Yeah. But thanks for joining us.
Sure. So, Wonder Twin powers.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
Form of. Next time.
Man, you're killing me, Smalls. Killing me.
Did we have a noise last time? Pew, pew, pew.